Hey everybody, I'm Jammer, and the second trailer for Zelda Breath of the Wild just finished airing at the Game Awards, and oh my goodness, it has a lot of cool stuff packed in this thing. So this video is going to be the top 5 things you may have missed, but probably not, because you guys all have like eagle vision or something and totally see everything, or maybe you just, know everything already. I don't know. Anyways, these are just 5 things that I noticed that I just kind of wanted to quickly point out in a very thrown together little analysis. So I guess, spoiler alert if I get things right, but I mean, who knows, that probably is not gonna happen. And yes, of course, there are going to be things I'm going to miss in this video, but that's not the point of it. Anyways, let's get to the first thing. We see the Rito people attack Link at one point. He's walking towards that little platform. That thing flies away. He looks like a cross between like Falco and like Sterling from Animal Crossing. Especially the one you see later in the treehouse footage when Bill Trin and what is his name are playing together. So last E3, if you were able to explore the plateau, you could actually find and run across some Koroks, which kind of linked it to maybe being part of the Wind Waker timeline, or also people argue that, oh, maybe they just happen to evolve in this universe or part of the timeline. But then again, we're seeing the Rito people, which are also part of the Wind Waker timeline and that sort of thing. So this again leading another connection to the Wind Waker games. Or, like I just said, this could just mean that somehow, because of some sort of disaster, the Zora people again evolved into the Rito through some sort of disaster. Maybe the disaster I'll be touching on very soon towards the end of the video, and who knows, maybe. Anyways, he flies up to that little airship thing, which actually happens to look like in the shape of a loft wing. So potentially this could actually be some sort of connection to Skyward Sword. As airships are, of course, it's held up by its little propeller things, as you do. So what I can kind of theorize from this, that obviously this is probably part of their technology and what he's flying up to, assumedly anyways. If you take a look at some of the E3 footage and our overall map of Hyrule, we can actually see there's this flying island up at the northern point of the big map. This kind of leads me to believe that this is where the Rito people actually would be calling home. I mean, it makes a little bit more sense than living in a volcanic island with a giant dragon atop it. So they're safe up in the air, away from whatever danger there might be on the ground floor. That's maybe why the Kokiri evolved in the Koroks as well, to maybe more blend in with the environment and hide from whatever threat there might be. So that's what kind of leads me to believe that both races of the Zora and the Kokiri evolved into the forms of Rito and the Koroks outside of the Wind Waker timeline. This is just a personal theory, but maybe the reason they evolved into those forms was not just because of the Great Flood, but it was just because of some giant disaster. And that's just the forms that these races were always meant to revert to in times of that need. What I kind of theory is that in this game, again, this is some sort of disaster, maybe not a flood again per se. This event forced these races to again evolve into these new forms in order to basically survive. Then we get to the fountain. Now at first I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the fountain from Ocarina of Time, but no, actually with closer inspection, it is a nearly one-to-one recreation of the fountains from Twilight Princess. So in the first E3 trailer, we did see what looked to be actually the Bridge of Eldin, but I mean, there were some differences, like minus some cracks and whatnot, from obviously the events in Twilight. These two references are definitely something to take in consideration when thinking about, timeline of this game. I, again, have no clue whether it's going to be in this or that, but who knows? Anyways, moving on, one of the biggest things about this trailer is the fact that we see, obviously, some new characters and whatnot, but we see this female character walk past the screen holding, her Nokia tablet, the whatever Sheikah Slate. And then we also see her again while Link's bowing on his knee and she does the little triggered fist. But after closer inspection, it actually looks like these two characters might actually be yet 2 different characters. At first, I kind of came to the initial assumption that these are both probably just Zelda, but after a little more careful inspection, you can obviously tell that they're both dressed very differently. The one in the scene with Link in it, she's wearing the typical Zelda gloves like she does in like Twilight and stuff. She's wearing a more longer dress and she got that little thingy hanging in front of her as she walks. This one is definitely Zelda. Now the other one on the other hand, so the obvious is that the clothes that this character is wearing is very similar to what Link is wearing. His, blue tunic that we've seen a ton of times throughout many trailers, the little fanny pack that's going on, and of course the fact that she's got the Sheikah Slate, which as far as we know, Link is the only one who has it so far. There could be another one that Zelda might have, or there might be plenty, who knows. But as far as we know, Link is the only one who has it. That isn't the only point driving this home, but the main thing that helped me realize that this isn't the same person, just of course changing clothes, is the fact of the hair length. Now, of course, in the screen with Link kneeling down, we can hardly see anything of her besides literally her fist, her waist, and then of course her hairline. The interesting part is her hairline. We look at the other image. So if we actually move her elbow down as if she would fully extend it to be in the similar pose of the other image, you can see that her fist is well past where her hairline ends. Option number 1, so either, you know, a lot of time passes and Zelda's hair grows out throughout the story. Option number 2, she's wearing it differently where it's only like, what, 6 inches is higher up on her head? Which, I don't know, maybe that's a thing, I don't know, hair. Or option number 3, where this in fact is a different person from Zelda, potentially being a female Link, whether it be Linkle or just a gender swap of that character. So I had this idea a long time ago in a previous video, like long time ago, where I kind of have posed the idea that let's say if you actually did end up choosing a female Link, Zelda would instead be male or something along the lines of that, and that could still be kind of true, but this leads to a ton of possibilities and more questions than really answers. Because from what I can tell, these are definitely 2 different people, one very reminiscent of Link, and one, of course, very reminiscent of Zelda. So is this an actual female Zelda? Or is this actually a female Link? Is this just Zelda dressing up as Link and maybe changing her hairstyle somehow? I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. So another thing in this trailer, throughout a couple of the transitions, they show this like brief patchwork looking thing where there's like a little animation going through it, very reminiscent of kind of like the introduction of Wind Waker, where it showed that, you know, little history of the legendary hero. It actually, throughout the trailer, is telling a story. So at the beginning, it shows the Sheikah Eye and its teardrop, and I believe it's kind of representative of, you know, basically like the goddesses of Hyrule and how it drops its eye drop and, you know, builds a forest in the mountains, and kind of representing that this is the goddesses building this world. The next clip they show are these like little troll people. I don't know who they are. They're probably just representative of just any human life for that matter. It shows them starting off, you know, farming, getting tools, riding zebras or whatever, and then cut to a little bit later, it shows that they start building towns and villages. That's of course when they show off the rest of the town in that trailer. And you can see a little people walking through and stuff. Potentially maybe Hyrule Castle in the back. That might be it. Who knows? I don't know. And then the last patchwork thing we see is, again, Hyrule Castle. We can definitely see because the Triforce symbol above the gate, the iconic towers, flags, but then we see an army of what looks to be the Guardians that we've seen many times before. So at first I thought these Guardians might be like on the attack on the castle, but instead I kind of got the impression since they're all facing us and like lining up like an army, it almost looks like they're actually protecting the people of Hyrule and the castle itself. So maybe these were actually built by the goddesses themselves to protect the Hylian people from some other threat that maybe, obviously probably Ganon, but we don't know just yet. The real question is, do later they go bad and that's also part of the reason why Hyrule is in ruin? Or is even all this defense not enough to protect the people from this devastation of whatever happened? Again, a lot more questions than answers, but let you a little bit more insight on the story and maybe just the overall setup of the game itself. One last thing, Link's all sparkly here. I don't know what it's for. You know, it's probably him maybe receiving or even awakening the Triforce of Courage. Also, his cheeks are really rosy. Anyway, so that's 5 things you may have missed in this trailer. Of course, there are tons of more secrets and details hidden throughout, like in the village, the other townsfolks, tons of stuff that I definitely missed. But those are just 5 quick little things definitely worthy of mentioning. So is there anything else you noticed? Let me know in the comments what else you saw in this trailer, what other little secrets and details there might be. Give this video a huge, awesome like, and if you haven't already, subscribe for tons on Zelda Breath of the Wild, Nintendo-related content, and oh my gosh, I cannot wait for this game. Anyways, again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.